Right now, if you could close that door, please. Right now, if you could close that door. Right now, there are more than 800 Dreamers currently serving in the United States military who've signed enlistment contracts and are awaiting basic training. 800. These brave men and women have raised their hand to serve and to lay down their lives if necessary for the only country they know. If Congress fails to pass the DREAM Act, these young people could be forced to leave the military and be placed at risk of being deported from the country they have volunteered to serve. Former Defense Secretary Robert Gates, who served under both Republican and Democratic presidents, had an op-ed in the New York Times today. He pointed out that throughout our history, immigrants have made critical contributions to defending their adopted nation, and he called for Congress to honor the immigrants who've served our armed forces this Veterans Day by passing the DREAM Act. Thank you, Secretary Gates. A few weeks ago, I was at the Phoenix Military Academy, one of the 6 military academies of the Chicago public school system. I'm proud to say that Chicago, she came in right at the moment I said Chicago, Senator Tammy Duckworth. I'm proud to say that Chicago Public Schools host the largest junior ROTC program in America, 10,000 cadets in the Chicago Public Schools. And it turns out many of these cadets are dreamers who want to serve their country by enlisting in the U.S. Armed Forces. I'm pleased to have Harminder Steny, Steny here today, who is a student at Hunter College at the City University of New York and working toward a bachelor's degree. Last year, he enlisted in the Army through the MAVNI program, Military Accessions Vital to National Interest. He's going to tell his story. But Harminder, thank you for being willing to serve and being with us today. The MAVNI program allows immigrants with skills that are vital to the national interest to enlist in the armed forces. More than 800 Dreamers with these critical skills have joined the military through MAVNI. Without the DREAM Act, Harminder and hundreds of other immigrants with skills that our military couldn't find anywhere else could literally be kicked out of the Army. Thousands of junior ROTC cadets in Chicago and around America would never have the chance to enlist. They want nothing more than to serve. They are willing to give their lives for this country. They will make our country stronger if they're given a chance. I'm honored to be joined today by my colleagues in support of the DREAM Act. We've got to get this done before Congress leaves for the holidays. I want to introduce Congressman Ruben Gallego, who is a Marine Corps veteran who served in Iraq. He will be followed by Senator Duckworth. And take it away, Ruben.
Thank you, Senator.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here. It is a sad statement that we wouldn't have to be having this discussion. The history of the United States is replete with hundreds and thousands of immigrants that have given their lives and have volunteered for this country, even starting with the American Revolution all the way to now. One of the first men killed in Iraq was a Central American immigrant in the United States Marine Corps. In Arizona, where I represent, the story of Sylvester Herrera, who is a Congressional Medal of Honor winner, and while serving overseas with the Army, was only on his green card. The fact that we are going to let some of the best, the brightest, and most motivated men and women not only not join and help us in our military, but actually kick them out of this country is ridiculous. We already have a problem with hundreds of deported veterans that have unjustly been kicked out of this country and living in many countries that they don't even know, save for the fact that they were born there. We have a critical shortage of highly qualified and skilled people as it is in the military. And the military is not a jobs program. We should not be trying to save, quote unquote, military jobs for American citizens. We want the best, we want the brightest, we want the strongest. And we need to get them from wherever they come from, and if they are willing. And as the economy starts getting better, you will see more and more recruitment shortages, and yet we have a population in this country that is so patriotic that they're willing to defend a country, while at the same time that country may be trying to kick them out. You know, what more can you ask in terms of the highest level of patriotism? We need to protect the MAVNI program. We need to protect and enhance our Dreamers and protect and pass the DREAM Act. And continue to have the best and strongest military, because we have the best and strongest, most motivated people that are willing to join, and that includes our Dreamers and our immigrants. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce my personal hero, Senator Tammy Duckworth.
Well, anybody in the Marines is always one of my heroes, Ruben. So, hi, everyone. Thank you. My daddy was a Marine, so I have to say that. Hoorah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I just want to take a moment to really talk about where our veterans come from. They come from different places, different backgrounds, but they're also here to serve the same purpose, to serve our nation. And without the sacrifice of our military men and women, all of these immigrants who came before them, both in and out of uniform, we wouldn't be the great nation that we are today. And yet, despite our long history of as a nation of immigrants, despite our military only growing stronger as it becomes more diverse, some of my colleagues in Washington seem to forget one critical fact. Our nation is not as strong as it is today in spite of our immigrant families. It is as strong as it is today because of our immigrant families. These are men and women who come to our shores to seek new opportunities to become doctors, engineers, teachers, and scientists. Some of them even choose to risk their lives to protect our freedoms as members of our uniformed services. And their sacrifice isn't just admirable, it's heroic. I served for 23 years in the United States Army Reserves and the Army National Guard, and I understand firsthand how immigrants make our military stronger. In fact, I served for years with non-citizens in my National Guard unit whose citizenship only became expedited when we were deployed to Iraq. And now we have dreamers stepping up. They're stepping up to make this sacrifice in order to strengthen our nation's military, in order to strengthen and protect our democracy. These brave men and women bring new skills that we desperately need. They speak different languages. They have cultural understandings that allow us to operate in all the corners of this earth, where our military already is. And they continue to demonstrate the courage and self-sacrifice that makes me so proud to be an American service member. Yet, some of our leaders, including apparently the man who dodged a draft of Vietnam multiple times, who sits in the White House now, in the Oval Office, want to turn these brave men and women away from voluntary military service. They want to deport them from the very same nation they are willing to risk their lives to defend, and that is downright shameful. We need their strength and moral courage of these men and women who are willing to put on the uniform now more than ever. The future of our military, our economy, our national security depends on it. We cannot afford to turn away dreamers who want to serve and protect and defend this great country. So if Republicans and the president won't, then it's clear to me that my colleagues here, that we have to do everything that we can to pass the DREAM Act, and we simply can't afford to let anyone stall on this any longer. Thank you again for everything that our veterans are doing for our nation. I'm honored to be here with all of you, and I will keep fighting every single day, as my colleagues will also, to make sure that we pass the full DREAM Act. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. I'm going to ask Senator Cortez Masto, because we're on roll call, if she would come up here. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dick, and thank you. I'm honored as well to stand with all of my colleagues today to fight for passage of the DREAM Act, to fight for our veterans. And I'm here today with all of my colleagues to really send a clear message to dreamers, not only back home in Nevada, but throughout our country. We hear you, we stand with you, and together we will make sure that Congress passes the DREAM Act. Veterans Day, as we all know, is Saturday, and I honor and celebrate the service of our brave service members. But for nearly 900 undocumented service members, it is also a reminder that their commander-in-chief does not honor their service. Instead, he's told them that they're not wanted and that their service is not recognized. He's told them that their service to America and their patriotism is not wanted. You know, I'm asked all the time when I'm home in Nevada, what can you tell dreamers? Every chance I get, I tell them, you belong here. You belong here, and I want them all to know we are so grateful for their contributions to our country and what they continue to do today. So Saturday, we will be celebrating with them those contributions. The crucial skills that they bring to our communities is oftentimes not talked about. Under the Military Ascensions Vital to the National Interest Program, you know, DACA recipients with essential skills are able to serve and give back to the only country that they have ever known. These dreamers, they're real people. They're contributing to our communities and to the safety of this country. They represent the very best of us. Every single dreamer that I have met, and there are so many that I have met in Nevada, they work hard. They put themselves through school, they serve our country, they support their families, and they make lives better for themselves and their communities in Nevada, but throughout this country. These young men and women are skilled and contribute so much to our state's economy. In Nevada alone, our economy would lose $585 million every year if the dreamers were deported. And those numbers are similar across this country. Rescinding DACA doesn't fix our broken immigration system, and it doesn't protect our country. What it does is tear apart patriotic American families, including military American families. Think about this. U.S. Customs and Immigration Services reports that over 100,000 members of the military are naturalized citizens. These are people with roots in this country, service members with kids, spouses, mortgages. And as we look ahead to Veterans Day, I celebrate them and the over 500,000 veterans of foreign birth that have served our country. President Trump's action is bad for our country's safety, bad for our economy, and bad for Nevada. And I call on my colleagues, my Republican colleagues, to honor the service of these veterans and of the many dreamers that continue to serve. It is time for all of us to pass the DREAM Act. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Senator. Will Fisher with Vote Vets.
Thank you, Senator. Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Will Fisher. I'm an Iraq War veteran and a United States Marine. Now, we all know that Saturday is Veterans Day. What you might not be aware of is that tomorrow is the United States Marine Corps' birthday. And I raised that because I want to tell you about a guy named Jose Gutierrez. See, Jose Gutierrez is a fellow who came to the United States as an undocumented person when he was a child. He went on to become a Marine. And Lance Corporal Gutierrez also was one of the first to fall in the war in Iraq. Now, I say that because I want to show you that the role that immigrants play in our military far exceeds the call of duty. And it is also something that's nothing new. You know, probably one of the most talked about veterans in America last year was a fellow named Alexander Hamilton, right? Well, Alexander Hamilton also was an immigrant who came to this country and went on to become a Revolutionary War hero. And I think we all know about the gallant efforts of the Irish Brigades during the Civil War. I think we've all heard of what immigrants did in the First World War and the Second World War. And in every type of conflict the United States has been involved with since our founding. But this is more than just a moral issue, right? Because we can talk about the fact that right now, right at this very moment, there is a person who's a green card holder. There's a person who is a DACA recipient who is in a combat zone right now. Now, I know the pressure and stress that one celebrates when they're in a combat zone. What I can't imagine, though, is the added stress of knowing that I could get kicked out of the country that I'm fighting to protect and defend upon my return back home. But again, this is more than just a moral issue. This is also a military readiness issue, because it is immigrants who provide those skills that our military so desperately needs, who have, since our nation's founding, stepped up and answered the call to fight for and protect this nation. And Donald Trump right now is telling military leaders that they're not allowed to have the best military that we can possibly have. So yes, we can talk about this being a moral issue, but this is also a military readiness issue, and this is Donald Trump playing politics with our national security. And it is for these reasons and those that have already been mentioned that the organization with which I'm a part, Vote Vets, is calling on Congress to pass a clean DREAM Act and to do so immediately. Thank you.
Steny, would you come tell us your story?
Hello, everyone. My name is Steny. I'm a dreamer from Queens, New York. I have been in the United States since I was 6 years old. You know, so growing up in the United States, I used to go to school every day, walk 3 blocks with my friends, go to the park every day, play basketball, play video games. Everything was fine. Everything was normal. I felt like an American. And then in high school, Academy of American Studies, that quickly changed. Because when I applied for a driver's license, I couldn't, because I didn't have necessary paperwork. I couldn't get a job. I couldn't help my parents out. I couldn't get a driver's license. Couldn't get an ID. And that really hurt because, you know, I didn't feel like American anymore. But still, I went on to college, finished high school, wanted to go to college because my parents only went up to high school. And, you know, I enrolled into Hunter College, City University of New York. And in college, I got an internship that made history documentaries. And in the internship, I learned about a group called Harlem Hellfighters that fought during World War I and World War II. And these were a group of black men that fought for this country in a time of segregation when they thought they didn't belong. And this is very similar for DACA because we feel like we belong here and we want to help this country out, and either it's military or civil. And personally, I rolled into the military in February 2016, and you know, I want to help this country out. I want to serve for a long time, you know. I want to stay here for a long time, serve for a long time, and just feel American again and be an American citizen. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Is Congressman Carbajal here? I've got that. I'm sorry.
Well, I find it extremely appalling that a draft-dodging president who went to great lengths to not serve our country is now telling those individuals who voluntarily are stepping up to protect our country, our democracy, that they have no place in America and in our country. Thank you, Harminder, for sharing your story with us today. I immigrated to this country when I was 5 years old with my family. I enlisted in the Marine Corps at age 19. I never felt a deeper sense of camaraderie than when I first went through basic training. Most of us had just left home for the first time and didn't realize what we had gotten ourselves into. When you're serving alongside your fellow men and women in uniform, it isn't about where you come from or who your parents are. It's about who is going to have your back. Congress must find a solution to make sure the 900 young, patriotic dreamers serving in the armed forces today can continue to serve our country that they love and believe in. For many, it's the only home they've ever known. In fact, I heard a story recently of one recruit who only learned that he did not have a Social Security number after he told his mother about his dream to serve in the United States military. After DACA passed, he immediately signed up for boot camp. Dreamers have demonstrated that they contribute invaluable skills to strengthen our national security. They are language experts and physicians, to name a few. And the Pentagon has implemented rigorous background screenings to ensure our national security. With the DACA program set to expire next year, it is imperative that we pass the DREAM Act. The DACA recipients serving in our armed forces are willing to shed their blood and lay their lives down to protect our country. One thing our president was not willing to do himself. And it is time to recognize these individuals for their loyalty and commitment to our great nation. Thank you.
Thanks, Congressman. Mike Breen?
Thanks, Senator.
Take it away.
My name is Mike Breen. I represent the Truman National Security Project, which is an organization of the post-9/11 generation of national security leaders, many of whom, like myself, have served in uniform, but very many of whom have also held senior national security positions across the government. And so we view this not only as a moral issue, not only as a military readiness issue, but as a core strategic issue for the United States. One of the greatest honors I ever had as an Army officer in Iraq and Afghanistan was to stand witness to one of my fellow soldiers becoming a citizen in a combat zone. To watch them raise their hands, join the American citizenship, and then to pick their rifle back up from the wall where it was leaning and step back into line with their brothers and sisters to put their lives on the line for our country again. That speaks to the core strategic asset of this country. It is our pluralism. It is our diversity. It is the fact that when you face us on the battlefield, you face the sons and daughters of every corner of this earth, every race and creed standing shoulder to shoulder with the same flag sewn on their uniforms, together, ready to fight and die for an idea that we all share. That's who we are. That's who our military is. That is why we're the most feared and effective fighting force on the planet, because we welcome these people to stand with us. When I was rolling out of the gate as a second lieutenant in Iraq in a Bradley fighting vehicle, I did not care that my gunner was born in the Sudan, that my driver was born in the Dominican Republic. We all wore the same flag, we took the same risks, we fought together. That's what it's all about. So I want to say to you and to everyone else who's caught in this horrible limbo, the only thing any American really should say to somebody who steps up to serve, thank you. You have our gratitude, and this is your home. Thank you for fighting for it. We've got to get this done. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Congressman Liu?
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Senator Durbin, for organizing this important press conference. As a veteran and as an immigrant, this issue hits close to home. It's one reason I'm a co-author of the DREAM Act, and we need to have a clean authorization as soon as possible. America has the best military in the world. One reason is because of our amazing personnel. But it doesn't just happen by itself. The military has to constantly recruit people. When I served on active duty in the 1990s, it was very clear that it is not easy to keep on recruiting people. And we have to keep trying to get the best and brightest into our military. And it is really stupid to kick out or not allow qualified patriotic individuals to serve in the military, especially because some of them have important skills, such as foreign language skills, that sometimes native-born Americans simply do not. Now, we've seen situations like this happen before in our nation's history, where the executive branch goes out and discriminates against an entire class of people. In World War II, over 100,000 Americans were interned because they happened to be of Japanese descent. But their children said, you know what, we're gonna go fight for the US. We're gonna go into World War II, and we're gonna serve our country. And it is now undisputed in our nation's history, one of the most decorated combat regiments is a 442nd Combat Regiment composed entirely of Japanese Americans. It would have been really stupid then to say they couldn't serve. So now it is just ridiculous to say we're gonna hurt our military readiness to accommodate some radical right-wing ideology. By the way, that was rejected emphatically by the voters this Tuesday. It is time to make America great again. That's why we need to pass the DREAM Act.
Thanks, Ted. Any questions from the press? You're all pretty easy. Yes?
You guys have a stance on Representative Ennis' Enlist Act that would specifically address dreamers in the military without being...
I haven't taken a look at that. I'm sorry. Does anybody else know about that?
I think that's a bill I'm co-sponsor of as well. The DREAM Act, the Enlist Act.
Enlist Act.
From what I know about it, I think it's a good bill. I think it allows dreamers to serve, and I think it's a good bill.
Any other questions? Okay. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Great group. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ted. Well done. Well done. Good. Good job. Mike.